What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here in the Odd Shopper channel, coming to you with the Friday edition of NBA Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become a president of our great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Still determining whether it's going to be good or not content, purely because, well, the Lakers game doesn't start for another 15 minutes. But I'm going to get ourselves into the Leans, Likes, and Locks. Also, have a pretty big Twitter thread that I ended up dropping together. I went through all of the research process, the same stuff that I'm doing here, but I feel like sometimes I can put it in note form and give you a little bit more information. So if you go to @EricLindquist right there, you can follow me over there. You can see the Leans, Likes, and Locks thread. I show a little bit more of my work because sometimes it's hard to talk through every single specific thing I want to do. Well, because I'm just spending like 4 or 5 hours going through it during the middle of the day. Once odds show up, I start getting my bets down, start talking through the process of what I'm paying attention to the most, and we get ourselves the heck up out of here. That's generally how it works. But let's get ourselves into that Twitter thread. So check that out. I would really appreciate any feedback you might have for me over there. But without further ado, we've got 9 games, tons of info that we got to get to, a couple of back-to-backs. We're going to be paying attention to that. News. That's going to be the king of today with 9 games in play, and we're starting to get back into that habit, that ritual here in the post-NBA Cup era. So without further ado, producer Jacob, it's the freaking weekend, and there's nothing else you could say. He's a terrible person. Let's get to the picks. I'd like to let it be known that I'm not talking about producer Jacob being a terrible person. We all know the terrible person in that song. But anyway, we got ourselves Charlotte +5, +5.5, depending on where you're looking. Detroit, this total 213.5, also available. 215, though, that we're staring directly down the barrel of a 45. Haven't heard that song forever. And the whole point that I'm bringing that up is because that's a little bit of a market inefficiency. We've got some Q tags that are lingering, and Miles Bridges coming off of 32 field goal attempts last time. It's going to affect him a lot from a prop perspective because LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller both questionable. As for the rest of those pieces, you're going to get Micic. You had a really hot start there for Seth Curry. Lots of weird stuff there when modeling out this game, and it's kind of leading me towards the under. And the big thing on the other side of this one for Detroit is I think you get Asar Thompson in this starting lineup in absence of Jaden Ivey, who had that really bad leg injury. Oh, shout out to him there. But under 215, not a lot sticking out in this one. We're going to have to wait a while, I think, to get some props. Unless you want to parlay and you have an idea, like a single game parlay, you have an idea of how that Ball and Miller news drops, really tough to be betting this one at the moment. Orlando, 1.5-point favorites against Toronto, and I would argue it should be a little bit wider. Now, Emmanuel Quickly. Apparently being limited means you're going to play 32 minutes in your first game back in forever. And that's exactly what we saw there in that spot. I just don't know if that's going to be like, he can only really go up, I would think, 34 minutes, 35 minutes here going forward. And that's going to kill the rates of guys like Grady Dick, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes. I mean, it is going to get dicey. Lots of guys who are going to want to handle some basketballs. There we go. I saved it. Some basketballs. That's what they want to handle. The Orlando money line is very, very nice here. I think there are lots of ways that this game should be closing 3.5, 4, 4.5. Orlando money line, I think they're the much better basketball team when you talk about a winning player like KCP, 3-and-D guy. You have Jalen Suggs doing everything for this team. Again, that Twitter thread, I explained everything Jalen Suggs is doing. I think it's a pretty darn good one. Potential assists, something that I'm going to be paying attention to with him as well. That's something, again, I can a lot more room in that box and Twitter and 280 characters. There we go. I couldn't think of the word characters. I'm a 280 person character. Boston, 2.5-point favorites now. We got a line here. This was not readily available for me earlier. I'm going to have to go back and fix that. Again, haven't hit this thread into the abyss, mainly because I need to send all of the bets into the old premium Discord first. They get first dibs. And I'm actually going to do that here while we're talking because I just got those in. And we are going to send. I have everything written out and click. There we go. Boston, -2.5 taking on Houston in this spot. And yeah, this is going to be one that I need to update some of my stuff here because I didn't know where the number would open. I don't agree with it at all, by the way. I do think Houston money line is going to be definitely my lean at +126. Now, Ahmed Thompson, he was a bad boy. He decided to go wrestling. Wrestling emoji down there. But Houston money line, that's going to be a lean for me at the moment. Peyton Pritchard, be aware. There are ways that you get a lot of rest candidates here. You had Jaylen Brown sit out on Thursday on the front end of the back-to-back beating Minnesota. You had Kristaps Porzingis sitting out the front end, but that was an ankle injury more so and a shoulder injury for Jaylen Brown. That's a made-up way of saying, hey, we're going to rest him and maybe rest Jason Tatum, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Al Horford, lots of rest candidates on the Boston side. Always have Peyton Pritchard in your back pocket, even though he failed me for a half unit. Thanks a lot, pal. And an underdog card. That was mean. This isn't so mean. Washington taking on New Orleans, two teams that are down on their luck. That is for sure. And this is kind of an unexpected one for me because we saw 21 and 22 minutes for this guy off the bench. But first, let's start on the New Orleans side. How is DeJounte Murray this bad? Every time I look at his numbers, I'm actually shocked again and again and again and over and over and over and over and over like I'm Marshawn Lynch. What are we doing here? DeJounte Murray, man, nearly a 40% effective field goal percentage. It's stone cold worst among starters playing over 400 minutes in the NBA this season. What are we actually doing? He's got to be better. He's been right around 50. He's never been great in that department either. He's never been insanely efficient, but this is like all-time bad kind of stuff. So either he's dinged up and he's not feeling well and things aren't right, or you should just have Trey Murphy shoot it 5 million times in a spot like this if you're the Pelicans. However, we're going to be going to the Kyle Kuzma under 13.5 points here. Why is this number at 13.5? He just only, not much usage, only 3 shot attempts. I think that's a bit of an outlier last time out, but you get Herb Jones, Herb Jones, one of my favorite defenders in the entire NBA there at the 4. He's going to be playing minutes locked up with Kyle Kuzma off the bench. Okay, sounds nice to me because, Bub Carrington, not much of an offensive threat. Herb Jones generally guards your number 1, and Kyle Kuzma, maybe it's just going to be what it is going forward, 21, 22 minutes until the trade deadline. And I think that's far, far more likely. Now, he hasn't had that offensive outlier game, but why is he at 13.5 and like other starters or guys that like Champagny is like 7.5, 8.5? I'm very confused by this because I don't think Kyle Kuzma just walks into 28 minutes tomorrow unless he's in that starting lineup, which I do not anticipate for a third straight game. Friends, look at this beautiful graphic provided by Outsider Joey, our guy Joey here at Stokastic. Well, first week, $20, slash it, $10. First month, $50, slash it, $25. How do you do that? Signing up for the premium Discord down below? Well, you do it by signing up with promo code Lindy50. Again, your choice. First week, first month, whichever one you prefer. Come test out the waters. If you want to just try it out for just over $1 a day, the $10 option for your first week. Would love to see you there. If you want to try it out for under $1 a day for an entire month, that leads you all the way through the entire playoffs besides the Super Bowl. Well, Lindy50 gets it done for you down below for that first month. $25 it becomes. Plus, look at that smiling guy on the right side of the screen. Look at him. Look at him. You're going to get a minimum of 3+ plays per day. You're going to get exclusive Discord access. You are really, I got to say, less than $1 a day. I feel really good about that price point there for the first month. Would love to see you guys there. Plus, ask me anything you want. You will get answers such as, hey, Eric, where do you have Naz Reid listed for points plus rebounds? Hey, Eric, what do you think about this play and that play? I get a lot of those questions, and I love answering them because it keeps me sharp, keeps me on my toes, and process over everything. We keep the process going, and results need to come along with it. So Lindy50, go on down to the link below. Would love to see you there. Back to the picks we go. It's a party in the USA as the Knicks take on the Oklahoma City Thunder, and this one should be a lot of fun. However, I have a tough time knowing exactly what's going on with Jalen Brunson. He sat out last time, but then he had Miles McBride get in the starting unit and then completely decimate and fall by the wayside, and I don't really even know how to account for what happened in that starting unit. Again, Miles McBride gets announced as starting. After that game tips off, you see no Miles McBride. It's Cameron Payne in the starting lineup. Well, that wouldn't be good against Oklahoma City, who ran the Clippers out of the gym in the fourth quarter. We're able to rest a lot of guys and have a great opportunity to turn things over to the dark side. And, who is on the floor in that final unit? It's like Wiggins, who started the game for what it's worth. He had a nice outing. Jang Carlson, I don't know who that is. And I know Mitchell. Who's this guy? Who's this other guy? Dylan Jones. Who? Dylan Jones. You went to Weber State. Okay. Interesting. Well, anyway, what I'm getting at here is Oklahoma City should be more rested than most on a back-to-back. However, I'm going to call it a lean here if Brunson is in, purely because Brunson, he's going to make this game a little bit more competitive. The Knicks getting the rest advantage. That's always nice. When you play for Tom Thibodeau, plus 170, man, with Karl Anthony Towns, Josh Hart doing triple-double things. It's weird because, as soon as I stop betting his rebounds, he starts rebounding like a god again. So there you go. New York Knicks, just going to be a lean for now. If Brunson in, I've gone back and forth with that one multiple times. What it comes down to is it's a little too thin. The Knicks are a little too thin when you have plays like this that I think are going to look incredible. It's Cleveland, 5.5 taking on Dallas in this spot. And Dallas, well, Kyrie Irving, Spencer Dinwiddie, Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, Derek Lively. There's a reason that Cleveland is the favored side in this one. And why is that? Well, no Luka Doncic yet again here in this spot. Maxi Kleber questionable. That's a big deal. PJ Washington questionable. That's an even bigger deal. We're talking about Derek Lively, who's back, by the way. Quentin Grimes, these minutes are going to get dicey. I mean, Olivier Maxence Prosper probably gets dusted off if you have PJ Washington, Maxi Kleber out at the 4. You're going to have Quentin Grimes potentially play the 4. That seems a little bit extreme. We might have a Markieff Morris sighting going up against Cleveland. And here's the thing. Evan Mobley is an absolute stud on the defensive end, but offensively, we're starting to see a different dimension to his game. And somebody asked me the other day, Eric, why haven't we bet his games the last couple? Well, because his 2+3s have been nuked a little bit. Now, they're still plus money, but I've just kind of allowed for things to take their course. And he's only had 4 3-point attempts the last 2 games. And against Golden State, they absolutely blew them out of the water. He only played 25 minutes. And that's the thing here is that if you get PJ Washington and Maxi Kleber in, which is what I'm hoping, I think there's a chance Evan Mobley going up against them ends up taking that 6, 5.5, 6 type 3-pointers that we're looking for in order to try to cash a 2+, because his 3-point numbers this season, 44.7% from 3 on the road. I'm not a big splits guy, but 43% on the season and better on the road. This is insane from Evan Mobley this season. We were quick to it. We were early to it. They got a little bit inflated, and obviously that one ended up flatlining it a little bit here, but 2+3s at plus money is going to be coming our direction. We only have the one showing up here. Don't bet it. It's at like -220, but I think we're going to be getting a plus sign in front of Evan Mobley for 2+ yet again. I think we need to take that against Dallas and hope Washington Kleber in and keep this thing close. San Antonio +7.5. Oh boy, taking on Denver in this one. And I like Victor Wembanyama. Who doesn't? Who doesn't like Victor Wembanyama? He gets to go up against Jokic, which it's a tough ask for anybody here at the moment. And I will say this again, Russell Westbrook is playing awesome basketball alongside Jokic on the offensive end of the floor. They're 8-2 now with Russell Westbrook in the starting lineup on the season. Now, he's sharing the floor with Jamal Murray. It's just weird seeing how many assists can you possibly garner in an entire game. It's not like Michael Porter is going to be getting them at any point in time. And Christian Brown, that's kind of what it is here too. But I am very much here for +7.5 when I have this closer to 5. This Denver team is thin. It just is what it is. Julian Strawther, Dario Saric, Jalen Pickett, DeAndre Jordan, Spencer Jones, Zeke Naji, Hunter Tyson, and Peyton Watson. That is your bench. Peyton Watson being the best guy coming off the bench out of all the guys I just listed. And some of them I'm sure you haven't heard of. So which one was it? Which would Jalen Pickett? Jalen Pickett's nice. Everybody's nice when they go play at the local Y, that's for sure. To my favorite play of the day, we go. Memphis, 4.5 points they are getting taking on Sacramento. And Sacramento, they went on crazy come-from-behind fashion against Philly without Joel Embiid on the floor. I will repeat, they went crazy nasty in that fourth quarter. Down 7, they go on a crazy run to close out the game and beat Maxey and George and everybody there on Wednesday night. And Maxey doesn't get there for the 30+, and I'm in shambles. He had 21 points, in that second half. Did Tyrese Maxey? I'm still not thrilled about it, but I'm thrilled about this number here because Memphis, they don't get the respect they deserve here for being a deep basketball team. Basically the inverse of what we just attacked on the Nuggets side of things. And obviously they've got the best player in the NBA, Nikola Jokic. So there's that. Sacramento doesn't. Domantas Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox, are they good offensive players? Yes. Are they terrible defensive players? Yes. Unfortunately, basketball is played on both ends of the floor. And we just saw a floor performance from Scottie Pippen Jr. last time out, and I don't expect that to continue. But I do think with Zach Edey questionable, Jake LaRavia questionable, Brandon Clark questionable, if we can get one or two of those Q tags to lean in, specifically Zach Edey and Brandon Clark, those are the two I really want in. Jake LaRavia, he's been rebounding the ball at a pretty decent clip, but Desmond Bane, Scottie Pippen Jr., and Jaren Jackson Jr. offensively, Jalen Wells just kind of out there for defensive purposes as a rookie. I think this is a Memphis team that should not be getting 4.5 points against Sacramento. because their current construction, if they are not knocking down shots, they are in a deep amount of trouble on the defensive end, especially with Keegan Murray, who was kind of known as a three-point shooter coming out of Iowa. Not very good on the defensive end until this year, where he had really taken a step up and it kind of kept the glue together here for the Sacramento team. But without Mike Brown, without really an identity on the defensive end of the floor, and a Memphis team that is second in the West despite tons of injuries all season long. Yes, Morant being out for a while and Desmond Bane being out for a while. Jaren Jackson Jr. actually staying the healthiest of everybody, which is funny because he likes to club people. And he hasn't been clubbing people, hasn't been in a ton of foul trouble here this season. I do think this is an attackable Sacramento team and an attackable spot where I think this is closer to a pick'em. I've got it at, it's like a half point on the Sacramento side. I'm locking that every single time, taking 4.5, running to the bank with it. Yes, a little bit higher variant game here at 237.5, but we're talking about one of the worst defensive teams as I model this out. Again, I have this as a half-point difference. You could talk me into just taking the plus 154 here on the Memphis side, but trying to get some locks home for you here early on. Hey, Austin Reeves, how are we doing here in the early portion? Let's talk about the Lakers. And the last game of the night, hit the like button, subscribe button, notification. Game number 9, Atlanta taking on the Lakers. 4 points they are getting here against the Lake Show. And yeah, Austin Reeves, you better get there for me, honey. I need it so bad. I've been so down bad for the last 4 or 5 days. Now, it hasn't been apocalyptic. We've hit all of the locks over the last 2 weeks coming into this Austin Reeves one on Thursday night, which again is just going live. But yeah, I need to start it off with a win here because it has been brutal sledding for me for the last 5 days. Hey, you know, it was a tax write-off at the end of last year, you know, just goes against my capital gains. And then January 1st happened. January 2nd happened. I better win this on January 2nd. That'd be good. But January 3rd, we've got the Lakers here. And Jalen Johnson questionable. That ended up being a voided ticket the other night. Not much I can do about that. But another Q tag came along for the ride. It's Trae Young. Like, that's a gigantic Q tag. Need I say more? But you got a weird one with Anthony Davis ruled out with the ankle injury. I think that was more of a rest situation where they looked at the tea leaves and they said, should we have LeBron play on this back-to-back? I'm not sure, but I think we can beat Portland even without Anthony Davis. So they probably put him on ice, tried to figure out what Atlanta's going to do here in this spot. Trae Young likes to play in the Garden. He likes to play in these Showtime big event games and talk a lot of smack. Little guy out there just chucking and more so assisting here this season. Career low in points per game, career high in assists per game. But I think this one is just Jalen Johnson, if he plays, 25 plus points plus assists. We run that one back against a Lakers team that, yes, they're much improved defensively with Max Christie in that starting unit. And now Dorian Finney-Smith, one of the better 3-and-D guys in the NBA over the last couple of years, in that backup role, maybe potentially coming forward a starting role if anything were to happen, where, you know, you could slide him over to the 3 instead of Rui Hachimura in certain matchups. But we shall see. We shall see. I guess technically the 4, LeBron would be at the 3, but positionless basketball in the year of our Lord 2025. Yes, that's the first time I've gotten to say that this season. So how about this? Austin Reeves better hit that damn lock. Let's just throw that in there. I need that. I need that like I need water. And Jalen Johnson, 25 plus points plus assists if he plays. That's going to be a lean for me inside of minus 115. Happy weekend, everyone. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Head to the comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays that exist on the board here for this lovely slate we have before us. Also, be sure to check out that Twitter thread that I've got going, the X thread, if you will, at Eric Lindquist. That is my name. You can go ahead and wear it out. Go follow me over on X. Would love to see you there. Let me know what you think of that prop thread as I'm giving you all the information, behind the scenes looks at my process, at a couple of the screenshots of some of the sites that I like to utilize and outsource a lot of my data from. It's going to be a good time talking through a little bit more of that process because, again, I want to keep this to a tight 20 if I can going forward for all of the videos, regardless of length. And if it's like a 5-gamer, I better be short of 20 minutes. My God. I do like to talk. I should probably go now. Producer Jacob, thank you so much for another week in the books. Until next time, friends, happy 2025. I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NBA streets on Friday.